So we had this brilliant idea, everyone. I'm doing all this work on Grief and Rebirth podcast, and I'm interviewing wonderful people like Roseanne Norris, who's here with us today. And I've spoken to Brett, who's watched the podcast, and all of you are so special to me. And Suzanne Murnick, who is just my best buddy from a long time ago. And I was thinking it would be really great to take what we're doing with all these marvelous people who are healers and all, and make it more intimate and local to who each of you are. And there's no doubt in my mind that each of you come to the podcast with a pack of things you're grieving, issues that you have, sadnesses that you have. And sometimes you wish you could get support and not necessarily have it in a regular therapist's office or whatever, or just loving support that where you can come. And we're not looking to, this is not a concept of that we are the great experts. I have a lot of experience from all the interviews I've done and all my life experience, as does my wonderful partner here, Melissa, but we are really making a team effort where we're going to take you through all kinds of wonderful programs and things to do and be able to talk and support you and nurture you on your journey. And I want to introduce Melissa. What would you like to say to everyone? First of all, she's from Canada. She's speaking to us from Canada.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody from Canada say hello. Oh no, I saw Jane. Hi, Jane. Anyway, thank you, Irene, and thanks to all of you for joining us on this wonderful opportunity to tell you about our new program called The Healing Table. And I was very privileged to have the opportunity to meet Irene about a year ago and be a guest on her show. And she touched me so deeply in my heart. And you're all here, mostly, everybody's here because she's touched you in your hearts as well. And one of the things for me is I have these ideas and these programs and all of these things to give the world, but I was for a long time a little bit afraid. I have to get my wings kind of flapping, but you see Irene and her wings just fly, and I've got these roots that Irene needed some roots. So we're a really wonderful team to bring this program to you. And so thanks, Irene. And now, would you like me to tell you a little bit about it, or how do you want to get going?
Well, we want to offer support during everyone's highs and lows, especially when they might only have the resources, like for a 1 month of, one session for monthly therapy or whatever. This is going to be a weekly, wonderful program that can involve all of you and get everyone involved, filling in the gaps of your relationships during the tough times. And because we know, we understand your pain. We really understand what you're going through. And we want to nurture you and support you and embrace you. Melissa, what would you like to talk about the structure, about the programs that we're going to be offering, about what we're going to be doing?
Well, first of all, if anybody has any questions, please pop them in the chat. I'm going to take you through how the program's going to how it's going to come into fruition. And we're going to start on fall equinox, which is September 22nd. And we created this group because you know what happens? You've got your groove going on, and everything's good. Maybe you've met with somebody, you've had something really great happen, and then all of a sudden you just sort of lose your forward motion, and the wind leaves your sails. And then you've got to wait till you have that reconnection time, whether it's with a therapist, whether it's with a friend, or whatever it is what you're doing. We really saw that there is a need for that consistent support during the healing and transformational process that we're all going through. And so that's where the Healing Table really started to come to life for us. Some people have resources to see somebody once a month. Some people might see someone once a week. But again, between those times, you sometimes feel really lonely, and you just don't know if you're doing the right thing, or some one trigger happens, and then you lose your way. And although you know better and you've got all the tools and everything you need, you just need that one thing to pull you back on track or back online, like a train going down the tracks, right? Once it's derailed, it knows how to get back. Once you put it back on the tracks, it's fine, but it takes a lot of work to pull the train back on. And sometimes especially when we're going through a grieving process, loss of any type of all, it's a lot to get us back on track. And the other thing is in our friends and our family, in that group of people that we go to for support, sometimes they don't understand our pain. because their world didn't stop when ours stopped, right? It's a totally different experience. So the other thing too that the healing table is going to be able to do is that we all have access to information, so much information. You know it. We can read books, we can go on podcasts, we have coaching programs, there's just like a myriad of things that we can do. But how do you get that information and turn it into transformation? Like, why do people go to the gym, right? Because you can do your sit-ups at home, you can do some of the things at home, but you go to the gym for that sense of community, for that group, for the group learning, for all of that together. And so what we want to do is understand that although you find a concept and you know it helps you, and while you're learning at that moment, it's making you feel better. And then you go home all of a sudden, or you're on your own, and then you don't know how to turn that information into transformation. So that's what we really want to do. And transformation comes from practice and commitment, and then practice, right? In a group environment.
And support and nurturing. I'm looking at Iris Shula here. She's right here, and she's been my inspiration because Iris and I often connect and we nurture and support each other while she's going through her grieving process. And this is going to be something very similar to that. You know, with structure and love and support and concrete ideas and exercises and different things for you to do that will help you on your journeys.
Mm-hmm. We will. And it's a year-long program. It is a major commitment because the change that you want to see and the lasting change that we need in our lives when we're finding it hard to get where we want to go is to have that, like that full-on committed to that change. So anything less than a year, we don't think will give you what we want to give you throughout this program and throughout the transformation that we're offering. Okay, so it's a conversation through healing, the healing through conversation only. The spirit plays some part in a way. Yeah, of course, spirit plays a part in everything we do. How it's going to work is we're going to have 2 1-hour live coaching sessions every week and 1 hour live office hours where you can ask questions on whatever it is that you're working through. So there'll be 3 live touch points of 3 hours a week for a full year. So you do have what you need to keep on track and to keep moving forward. And you will actually create your own life blueprint from the work that we're going to do. Now, Irene and I will be doing a lot of the work with you, but we will also have the opportunity to bring in guest speakers, guest coaches, people who have access to spiritual guidance as well. In a different way. So there'll be a lot of things in the course of the year that will add different flavors to what we're going to do. So in terms of how that year will roll out, there's 3 major things. I've got my notes because I want to make sure that I let you know all of them. The first thing that we want to talk about with everybody is to begin where you are. So this is a personal journey for you. Although it's a group coaching program, you are going to go at your own pace. You are going to heal the things that you need to heal, and you're going to create the things that you need to create. And one of the things when I say begin where you are, sometimes we think we know where we are, but the truth is it's not a physical answer, right? Where are we on our healing journey? And when we're in the midst of that healing cycle, sometimes we can't see it for ourselves. And so the questions that we'll answer through the first process of this first part of the journey, or this first phase of it, will be, where are you, who are you, and how are you? And we'll do a lot of work sort of teasing through that and figuring out exactly where you are. If you're you can pop into the chat if you want to, but if someone asked you right now, do you know exactly where you are in your healing journey? Do you know exactly what you need? If you know the answer, say yes. If you're not sure, say no. Pop in what you think. But I know for me that when I began my recovery, the first thing that I needed to figure out was who I was when I took away all of the things that I had been to that moment, because I was looking at a whole new me.
I think also a lot of people get a lot of shoulds. You should be here. You should be there. You should be doing this. This is what to do. This is the textbook thing, what you should be going through. And you know what? Grief is a very individual process for every single person. Everyone has a different history, has different experiences, different things that have touched them off. And you're not a cookie cutter. It's not a cookie cutter solution for everyone.
Right. And so we're going to be able to allow you to put together what you need for you within the group process. And then the next phase of the journey is to answer the question, where are you heading? And I really love this proverb. If you don't change your direction, you might end up where you're heading. And how many of us wake up every day with the goal of, I just want to get through the day? Not every day, maybe, but a lot of days where you just wake up, I got to just get through the morning. I just got to get through this. I just got to get through that. And we believe it or not, mindlessly get in our car and drive where we're going. Like, we don't actually wake up in the morning and set our destination, our intention for the day. And if we do, we don't do it long enough to last. We might do it for a few days and then we fall off. We're going to keep that consistent. And when we figure out where we're heading, like, what we're going to do here is, the first question is, if you don't know exactly where you're heading, where do you want to end up? How do you want to feel along the way? What do you want to experience along the way? And finally, the most important thing that can guide us in terms of where we're heading is, how do we want to be remembered? And this is part of the phase, because as we rediscover who we are after this thing that put us into this, the moment that brought us here together, all to be together all at once, we actually had to figure out that direction. And it's quite a deep dive. But it's a really important one. Otherwise, you're going to end up where most of the energy, where you live your day, wherever that energy is guiding is where you're going to end up. That might not be completely aligned to where you were meant to be.
A lot of people also don't know where they want to end up, and this will help them identify that. We will help you. We will help you come to your own conclusions and figure that out for yourselves. And you will be getting exercises and different things that will really help shed light on what you want, what your goal is for your particular needs in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And Anne says, some days I think I know, and the next day is completely different. And that's true. And that's the bumpy ride. But the idea is, if you imagine, if you're in a car and you're driving along, you hit a bump and your steering wheel veers off to the right, you need to have a corrective measure to bring it back aligned and get back on your path. And that's a car, because we can actually physically see it. But in our lives, when we get bumped off, we don't always know exactly how to get back on our path. And if we're not exactly sure what our path is and where we're going, then we don't have the means to redirect. So we keep going down that, that path. Imagine, if you turn your head to the right and you try to walk a straight line, eventually you end up going where you're looking. And so if we're looking at our pain, if we're looking at our trauma, if we're looking at the things we don't know, our uncertainties of our life, we're actually just heading straight towards them, because whatever we're looking at and whatever we're feeling is pulling us. And so unless we have that means, and that's what we are going to do together, is put that path in place. So when you are bumped off and you are veered off, you know exactly how to come back. Simply, subtly, like it's simple, subtle shifts. It's just going to become your natural thing, just like when you're driving. You just know how to get back. That's how easy it can become. But it's a path and it's a journey, it's a process.
So when you're feeling lost, you have a way to find your way back home, actually to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think, is it Cece? I hope I'm saying it right. My intention every morning is just to figure out ways to ease the pain. Of course it is. And we have to ease the pain. We have to. And one of the main reasons why we want to ease the pain is because we're here and we need to find our purpose and we need to find our path and we need to get connected to our passions. And then the pain will begin to ease as well. But it's that process. It's a step-by-step, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
I think at the end of the year with all of this, first of all, we'll have a tremendous sense of community with all of you being part of it. And second of all, you will have a much better idea for where you're going and what you want for yourself at the end of it. You will have clarified a lot.
Mm-hmm. Because when you do wake up in the morning and you do have a purpose, and the purpose doesn't have to be your life purpose, but it has to be a purpose that aligns you to a path. And then that needs to be a path that aligns you to your heart. And you don't necessarily know where your heart lies when you're in the midst of all the pain. So that's why you're going to start out by figuring out where you are, what needs to happen, what needs to be exposed, uncovered, discovered, what needs to be teased out. And we'll do that through journaling. We'll do that through guided reflection. We'll do that through conversation. And there might be other ways that you need to do that and you want to do that. And we'll discover that as we move along.
There'll be meditations.
Right?
Right? We'll have meditations also, Melissa.
Yeah. So on a regular week, what you're going to see is, like I said, you'll have an hour or more with me where we're going to go through a process, a system. Another system, in addition to the simple, subtle shifts, is the power of pressing pause, where you begin to automatically learn how to press pause, figure out what it is that you're reacting to, respond to. What was that bump in the road? And then how to come back on it. And we'll be doing all kinds of different programs like that. And then you'll have time with Irene where you're going to talk about the programs, talk about whatever you're working through, talk about anything that's come up in your week. That's going to be your time with Irene for an hour or more. And they'll be live like this where you'll be able to talk. And everything will be recorded. So if you miss it, you will have access to that for the full year. So you can go back and rewatch anything if it was something you wanted to know more of. And then every week we're going to have 1 hour of office hours. So if there's something that you want to work through or talk to us about, you can come on. And if there isn't, then you just keep on going. And then you will have like a full access to a full journaling series, because journaling is what connects you to your intuition. It gives to your guidance and to your heart, and will give you the answers that you're looking for. And we also have, like I said, a weekly guided reflection. And then again, they'll all be available and the whole bank will add up and add up.
We just got a beautiful note from Brett. She said, so I'm 9 months into my grief journey, had months of distraction over winter, spring, taking a real estate course, all done with that. So now the sadness and loss aspect has set in. I am busy, but nights are tough. Thanks for the healing table, because that's what we will be doing. We will fill in those blanks for you. You'll have community. You'll have a safe place to land that really understands. And there's no judgment, not a touch.
Yeah.
Just love and acceptance and wanting to help you.
Yeah.
We've been there. I mean, I have to tell you guys, when I lost my husband, I was lost, and I did not have. I would have loved to have a healing community to help me with that. And not only that, I had this spiritual awakening, and people thought I was crazy. They didn't want to hear anything about it. And people would say, you'll get over it, do something else, you're crazy. And then I remember joining grief groups where everyone was crying and nobody was trying to move forward or understanding anything. And I seemed to be a little more hinged. So the next thing I knew was the woman who was moderating it said, Irene, why don't you help all these people? Meanwhile, I'm grieving myself. It was terrible. It was just awful. And Roseanne, you're smiling. You must be identifying with what I'm talking about. So like I pulled out of all of that and I was quite lost and all. And I would have loved to have a place to come to like this.
Yeah, it's so true. And that is one of the things that Irene and I talked about. My loss was different than the loss. Well, all of our losses are different. All of our losses are so unique to us. But in addition to other things that I had to go through, I lost myself. But the journey back is the same for all of us. It's unique, but the journey back is the journey back from wherever you are right now. Wherever you are, there's a place to come back to. Otherwise, I don't think you would be here. I just got chills when I said that, like big chills. We're here for a reason. And the other thing that I think we're here for is that there's something on the other side of this grief process you're in that's waiting for you to come and sink your teeth into, whatever it is. You're here because there's something waiting for you and needs you. And this growth and learning, painful as it is preparing you for wherever that is. But you're going to get there only by taking the path that's laid out in front of you.
Or even knowing what that path might be. Because usually when we have a loss, we're lost.
Yeah. We're
floundering and we don't know how to go about it or get to it.
Yeah. Okay. Now,
and loss is not just death. Someone just asked that. No, loss from divorce, loss from job loss from any kind of loss. It is not at all limited to death. It's loss of any kind. So everyone will be processing and finding their way from different types of losses also. It's a universal, we grieve. It's a universal emotion.
Well, yeah, it's true. And there are 4 Ds that I think really can give you an idea. Death, divorce, diagnosis, loss of health, and dismissal, loss of your career, your entire life, the things that we plan on, whether it be with your spouse, all of those things can just rock your world and leave you in a spot where you have to define your new path. And it is a new path because it is a new you, because whatever that was part of you. And now you've just got to regroup and get back at that. Now, this group is not about grief, to be very clear. We all are grieving something. This group is about life. It's about rebirth, which is my connection to Irene. This group is about figuring out what it is that's waiting for you on the other side of this thing that's in front of us right now. But we're not going to get to it by forging a hole through it. We're going to get to it by learning all the ways to find ourselves again.
We had another question asking if it will be just totally group activities or there'll be individual things also. So do you want to address that, Melissa?
Yeah. So no, this is individual in it that you will work through it on your own. You have the opportunity to send private messages and we can have conversations. But as a program, it's a group program. But like I said earlier, everybody needs something different. And so you will find that out. And one of the things Irene said, and we've talked about this, so I know I'm not correcting you, Irene, I'm just redirecting us, but we aren't going to give you the answers. We're going to give you the tools. We're going to give you all of the things that we know work through our research, through our experience, but you will have all of the answers that will come from your intuition, from the spirits, from your guides. They will come to you. We're just here to facilitate this process. And the other thing is when we're done this at the end of the year, in addition to this incredible healing and transformation you're going to experience, you're going to be part of a group of women who have all been through something just as big and have done a deep dive as deep as you have. And the bonds and the different friendships and the different communities that will that will come from this will probably change your lives forever. Because it's such a personal journey together. Sorry.
No, I was going to say there may be many lifelong connections made here.
Yeah.
It's such a blessing because people feel so alone. And you're in a different place now. Your relationships change also because people don't understand you. They don't understand where you're at. And now you'll be meeting people who totally understand you and care about you.
It's true. And the other thing that we're going to talk about is guilt. Guilt's going to be like a big part of it again, because we're talking about living, right? The grief itself will heal as you heal yourself and you find your own way. But there's guilt and so many other things associated with that. And we are going to spend a lot of time talking about that. And one of the things, and you've probably heard this before, but the biggest gift that you can give to your loved ones right now is investing in yourself and investing in your journey. Because as you heal and you grow and you start to have this, I say grow, but you're going to glow. Like you will, by the process of what we're going to do, this flow will happen. And the people in your lives will be affected tenfold minimum. Because as you invest in yourself, you're actually investing in all aspects and all people who have anything to do with you. And they will grow just by being with you and watching you find that you're light.
I have to say that after many years and going through all that I went through with my own loss, the thing that meant the most to me was when my son said to me, Mom, there has been nothing worse than seeing you in total despair. And there's been nothing better than seeing you be able to have joy again and figure out what's going on, figure out your life. And what a blessing. I will never forget that. And that's what we're going to try to support you and love you to help you get to that point.
Can anyone relate with that? If you can pop a yes or nod your head. But that time where you people are looking at you, whether it's your children, your friends, the people that you're supporting, they're looking at you. I have a similar story. I think my kids were maybe 8 and 10 years old at the time, and at the as low as I could go. I really finally hit bottom, and just short of being hospitalized. I remember I was living in a raised ranch, looking up at my kids, and a woman, a very wise woman, said to me, because I was like, nobody could really reach me. I was, just gone from everybody. And she said, "What do you think your girls see when they look at you right now? Is this the you want them to remember?" And it was a horrible, horrible thing to hear, but it jolted me right out of where I was. And I thought, no, I need to show them that I'm worthy enough to heal. Because if they ever get in this spot, they need to know that they're worthy enough to heal.
Exactly. Well, that's
Lead
what
by
you do.
example.
Yep, you role model for them.
Yeah. Not proud moments in the moment, but a lot of happiness looking back, seeing where we've come from. All of us, everybody who's here, I'm sure has a very similar story.
I see some people really responding emotionally, and I just want to give each one, I want to jump through the Zoom and give each one of you a big hug. I really know where you each have been. I really understand.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's very challenging and very hard, but you can do it. Look at me. I'm a perfect example. Really.
I think we all are. I know some personal stories of people in the room who have been through not one, but deaths of two husbands, partners. I can't even say it. There are people here who are stronger than I think I'll ever be. And it's such an honor to be able to be on this journey with all of you who decide to join us, because I don't know, we're in it together. We really are. And sometimes it looks better on the outside, but the inside that we can't see, we all have that open wound.
Just by showing up, you're very courageous. You're really to be admired just by showing up, because so many people, they're struggling and they sit in that swamp and they don't want to move. And you guys want to move. And that's really, you deserve a lot of credit for that.
And I want to reinforce too, it's going to be at your own pace. Okay, so Suzanne's asking to share the structure a bit about the sessions. I'll tell you how I think it's going to be, but how it will be what the group needs. So in my mind, what we're going to do is, like, for example, in a week that we're talking about grief, I'm going to give you some examples. We're going to go through some different scenarios that people have. Then we're going to apply some kind of process that will help you figure out how to deal with the trigger. So it'll be a cognitive behavioral therapy in a sense, but it won't be me really telling you what to do. It'll be me giving you the tools for that one example, and then us talking about it. It'll be a lot of sharing. It's not going to be this one way. I'm going to ask for participation. If you are going to join this program, make sure you have sleeves that roll up. Because it's going to be work, but not work that's painful. Well, there will be pain along the way, but we're going to make sure that you have the vision of where you're going. You're not, like, we're not going to start this without you knowing where you're going to end up. We are actually going to have you paint that picture for yourself. So someone said, it's so hard to imagine. I believe I'll get there. It's hard to see. A big part of this group is helping you paint that picture so you can see it. So as you're moving towards that. You're not moving away from your pain. You're moving towards your calling, your purpose, why you're still here, why you get to still breathe.
Because right now, most of you are pretty lost. We'll help you define where you want to go. And it may change. While you may think you want to go in one direction, then as you're working through things, say, you know what? Now I'm seeing the light. Now I really understand what I want to do with this. And that will be tremendous for you. We also have a question. Someone's asking about expenses also, Melissa.
Okay. Before I answer that, Suzanne, did that answer your question? You can chat right back, yes or no, or do you want me to explain a little bit more? Okay. So this group is going to evolve based on the needs and the personalities of the people in the group. So if we find out that we need to do it differently, we'll make it be different. I know in my mind how I want it to unfold, but I'm never one to keep a structure if it's not going to fit the group. So we will make sure that it fits the group. So in terms of prices, it's $99 a month and it's a 12-month commitment. We need that 12-month commitment because that's your commitment to us and to you that you are in this, that you want to see that full vision. Because in anything less, we're not going to be able to paint that whole picture and create the path that will guide you there. And if you want to pay $999 up front, then you save the $200. And that will include everything that we're talking about. And so I'll just run through what you get, but I promise you, it's not only this, you'll get more. But so you'll get 3 hours of live virtual coaching every week. You will have work at your own pace programs and exercises. You'll have journaling support and prompts that will help you create that connection with your intuition and your guidance. You'll have weekly guided reflections and meditations that can be customized and will be created for this group on an as needed basis. And you'll have access to the library I already have, but I will be constantly creating for the group. So by the end of the year, you will have more than 50, for example. So we will be able to do that too, based on what the group needs. And then we have a Facebook group that will give you 24/7 access just to this private community. And this community, like, I want to read something that I wrote to you because I want to make sure that I get it straight. So when I talk to you about the implementation versus information, like we want to take the information, learn how to implement so we can have transformation. Because all of us have all the information we want in the world. It's that implementation that leads to transformation. And so the implementation takes time and practice, and it's a safe, soft, supportive environment. This is us. This is our Facebook group. And when we fall down, when we fall backwards, we get stuck, which getting stuck is one of the biggest parts of all. We know we're okay, and we're grateful that we're surrounded with the vibes and the strength of our community to remind us that we're okay, or that we're more than okay. And that's where we're going with this. So you have that. So all of that, again, is $99 a month or $9.99 for the full year.
So think about that. You also have this Facebook group every single day. And whatever you're feeling, you can put just in this group, you can put that out there and everyone can come and help you with that too.
Yeah. So if
you're never alone.
Yeah. And if you're up in the middle of the night, chances are if you at 1 a.m, you have this pain and you just want to put it out there, you're like, can someone talk to me about this? Chances are Irene's going to be awake. But if it's at 6 a.m, Irene won't be awake, but I will be. So, you know, and we're not on there 24/7, but as a group, we will be.
Any more questions?
Okay, I think Rachel, can you put the link in the chat there? Also, to give you a sampling of the guided reflections. Actually, this is what I'm saying. When you sign up, you get this as part of your sign up thing. But if you feel like you want a little taste of the sampling, you can send me an email and I will send you a link to the reflection Always in My Heart. But you also get access to this and many, many more, plus all of the other things we said when you sign up for the full group.
And by the way, you may have, as you're listening to us, have other friends or other people you know who you think, wow, she could use this or whatever. So have them check it out.
Does anybody have a question they're dealing with right now, or something that's on their mind or hurting their heart that we could talk about that you'd like to share? Because this isn't a moment that we could do that as well.
We could start right now if someone has.
Yeah, we can. If you want to say it out loud, you can unmute yourself and just speak.
Everyone's very quiet.
And that's okay. That's okay. We don't know each other yet.
Yeah.
We don't know each other yet. Here's the thing. All of us have a pretty bright light inside of us. It's been dulled, beaten, bruised, maybe gotten a bit dirty along the way. And what we want to do is help you shine that light again. Because whatever it is, or whoever it is that we have lost, doesn't get to shine their light anymore. But we get to. We get to shine their light. And even more than getting to, maybe we're meant to. Doesn't mean we're ready to, but it might mean we're meant to. And this group will be about helping you shine their light on their behalf, because they're not here to do it.
Right. They're within you. They're around you. And they need
Yeah.
you to shine your light, and the people in your lives need you to shine your light. But how do you get there? How do you get there?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see.
I'm
I hope to share.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Read
You
it.
go.
Well, I have here pretty early, Roseanne. My husband passed 4 months ago. This is from Cece.
Yeah.
And Suzanne Murnick says, I don't have a recent loss, but I'm on a creative journey where I want to access wisdom gained from the experience.
Suzanne, oh, sorry. I mean, Suzanne, I can answer that with 1,000% commitment or confidence. This is the group for you, because one of the reasons why you're not accessing your wisdom is because you've lost something along the way. And it might have been when you were younger, a child. At some point, you lost your access to that creative guidance and that inner wisdom. I know exactly now through this journey, not exactly, but I know that the pivoting moments of my life from when I was young and even in my teenage years where I shut down my access to it. You will get that through this, but your loss that you would be looking at, not specifically from a loss point of view, is you're here about discovery. Because again, this group isn't about loss. This isn't about grief. This is about discovering your purpose, your path, your passions. This group is about discovering you, figuring out where you are in your journey, getting clear about where you want to be, because if you're not sure where you want to be, you're going to end up where you're heading. And then finally figuring out how to stay on that path. So this group is for anybody who wants to live a more fulfilling and robust life. But in particular, we're very sensitive and we're all really healing.
I have someone here who's saying that she's taking EMDR and she is feeling a little bit better, but she may come back, join us. She's thinking about that. So this could definitely be added to any other healing modalities that you're doing. It will strengthen them.
Mm-hmm. And Roseanne said she hopes to share with people that are very early in their personal journey. And those are the other things that will happen too. I can see us becoming like that. Like there'll be different groups of different loss at different parts of their journey or different types of loss. And I can see us actually getting into like smaller breakout groups, for example, on healing discussions. And we might even get to a point where we actually branch off. Like, we're going to do what needs to be done to get everybody where they need to go. Not need to go, are meant to go. Are meant to go. We're going to help everybody figure out what's calling them and to redirect you if you're in that path. Because again, when we're feeling lost, when we're feeling lonely, when we're feeling stuck, in that moment, everybody probably knows about the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is an incredibly strong, powerful force. And the thing is that whatever we are feeling is what we are heading towards, which means we're going down the path of more of it. So you can look at it as coming towards us, or you can look at it as us pulling ourselves towards it. But whatever that is, so it doesn't mean you can't feel sad. It doesn't mean you can't feel lost. It doesn't mean you can't feel sorry for yourself. You can feel all of it, but you're going to sit in it long enough to recognize where you want to be next and recognize that you don't want to be there, but figure out what it is that it's telling you, because it has a message.
Right. And a lot of you are in different portions of your healing journeys. Some of you are just starting. Some of you are in the middle. Some of you are moving. Everyone can help each other and inspire everyone, because you are in different places. So if someone's like, I'm in so much pain, I just started this. Someone is going to be saying to you, well, I'm that much further down, and this is what I went through, and this is what I experienced, and here I am shining. You can get here. It can be okay. you
It's
know?
true. My favorite saying, this is what I want to be remembered for, this saying. And some people have heard this before. When I feel yucky, I'm really quite lucky. And I know that doesn't sound like the best thing you want to be remembered for, but it was like, it's such a breakthrough that day that I got that message. When I feel lucky, I'm really quite lucky. It's like, oh my God, I am aware that I feel like crap right now. This is not how I want to feel. That messaging system, that guidance system is the biggest gift, because then it opens up the opportunity to figure out where I want to be or how I want to feel. So if you're not feeling yucky, you're not feeling anything, you're probably not here, because you're here because you're feeling like you want to feel better.
Right.
You're feeling like you don't want this to be the rest of your life. And you're feeling like you might not know exactly how to get there. And then when you think about where it is, and you're like, oh, shoot, I don't even know what that looks like. We're all the same. We're just on different spots, but we're all the same.
Right. Melissa, here's a question too. I feel that I have found my purpose on my own journey. So my question is, how can this experience aid me on my path?
My answer would be another question, actually. So what is it that makes you feel you're not on your path? Or what is it that pulls you off your path? Or when do you feel that you're not on your path? And you're welcome to unmute, Roseanne, or you can keep writing. But I want to know about your path and how it feels to you.
Okay. I have gone on an extensive healing journey. My son passed 3.5 years ago. And I wrote a book, but now I realize that that's not the end of it, that that my path is, by helping others, is I'm going to continue to write books. So I'm ready to start again, and I know where I'm going suddenly. It's like it just all woke up in me. And so I don't know what, personally for me, what, other than helping others and gaining more knowledge, what I would personally gain from a group like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. Great
okay.
question. And I'm really happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And so I would say that the most important thing for you is to know when you're off your path, to know what triggers you, to know how to respond when you have some kind of derailment. And that will be the most important thing, is to get those tools, because hopefully that never ever happens to you, but chances are,
Oh yeah,
somewhere along the way, whether it be you're working with a family or another mother, because of your book, and then something gets triggered. So yeah, for me, what I can tell you is that I started this journey in 2014 when I kind of became unraveled. I had actually literally ticked off every box of my goals that I'd wanted to tick off. I had everything, only to find out the second that I did it all, I felt completely worthless. I felt completely lost. I was completely broken, and I couldn't explain it. But looking back now, it was because I was working on all of the things that weren't aligned with my path and my heart, and I didn't know how to fix that.
mm-hmm.
I was just trying to please people and trying to be that best person and trying to really be that person in society, versus understanding that I used to get burning feelings in my heart all the time for no good reason. And it was because my heart wasn't aligned with my head. So I guess for you, the most important thing is to have some kind of process that keeps your head and your heart always aligned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Are you very clear, Roseanne, on what you want to write your coming books about?
Yeah, I am.
I'd really love to chat with you about that.
Okay, we will. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great. Does anyone else have a question? Comment?
Well, we're going to close soon, but I'd like to share with you, just since Roseanne brought up the book. So when I wrote a book called I Will Always Love You. And when I first, and it's a whole story about how that book came to be. I didn't actually write it. It came through after a series of like a ton of grief, a ton of processing, a ton of real self-discovery, a ton of feeling worse than I ever thought a person could feel, which, saying that to you guys, of course, you know what that feels like in your own world, right? But in my world, that's what it felt like. And the book seemed to be about grief and loss. And for a year and a half, it was about grief and loss, and it helped thousands of people really heal through the process. But I never understood it because I hadn't actually experienced grief or loss like you have. I'd never gone through that pain of letting go or saying goodbye to someone who was in my heart that wasn't ready to go, or it wasn't their time. And then 18 months after writing that book, I had another really spiritual awakening. And I got a message that came in another form in writing, but my book was actually a message to me from my future self. So this is kind of woo, but you might as well get used to it if you like it. But it was my future self telling me that it was okay to grieve the person and the life I'd been living for 50 years. And that it was okay for me to step into the life that I was meant to live, scary and new and unknown as it was. I had to leave everything about who I was and who I'd been and step into this brand new life. And that's what my book ended up being to me. So Roseanne, I don't know your story. For any of you who journal or write, we get these messages and we think we know what they mean. And it's years later that you understand that that's not even what it meant for you. So my path has changed so many times. And you guys all have that in you, because that's why on some level you've experienced what you've gone through, because it's, the pain that blossoms into the beautiful thing that's waiting for you.
And there are beautiful things waiting for you. It's hard to even imagine it when you're going through it.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like it's good for someone to hold a beacon light up and say, you're going to get here. You're going to get here.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Roseanne. Well, thanks to all of you. Thank you, Irene, for being my wings as I'm your roots, and all of you who decide to join us, and to those of you who are here who have already joined us, welcome. This is going to be a wonderfully fulfilling and exciting journey that we're going to be on together, and I can't wait for it to start.
What would be the next steps? I think the next steps would be to sign up.
Yep.
Next step would be to sign up, and then we will have our first meeting on the solstice, and
we'll send you all the information before then. The Facebook group is open. It's not very active yet, but it will be active. And I'm going to start to really post a lot of things to get you started and thinking about things, but we'll formally start on the 22nd of September. And within the group, we're going to figure out how that's going to look, but we want the group to form so that we can best suit the needs of the group. We want the group to fit you, not you to fit the group. Thanks, Iris. And thanks, everybody. Thanks, Suzanne and Roseanne and all of you who, Ceci, Cece, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, but thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And I see a few tears, and I'm so sorry, but we hope to hug you in lots of different ways through this process.
We will.
We
will.
I can remember feeling so alone, and we don't want that to happen to you.
Yeah. Yeah, you can be so alone in a room full of so many people, right? I also have a suspicion that okay, good. I have a suspicion that we're all highly sensitive people too, because everybody grieves in a different way, but I think we need to grieve. We need to grieve in a different way because we're different people. We don't have thick skin. We don't want thick skin. We want to love the skin we're in, but our way, in a soulful way, this is all soulfully based. And I'm really grateful to whoever brought that up earlier, but that's we're being directed by spirit for sure to put this group together. This is not from our heads. This is from our hearts and it coming through. Definitely not from our heads. Okay. We good?
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Big hug and kiss, everyone. To be
September
continued
22nd. Yeah. And all the information is on the website. When you click that link,
from our hearts to yours.